Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Basement. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk about the disaster that has occurred at Pure Gold Mining. Have you looked at the stock price? I mean, it's gone from almost $2.40 US all the way down to right around a dollar right now. I mean, you would think that the bottom has fallen out of this thing, literally. But I'm going to give you my perspective on the situation and why I think that at this current price, pure gold stock may represent an outstanding value. So I'll do this quickly and unscripted, but in a nutshell, if you don't know already, they announced their first quarter production numbers, I guess it was, and the grade that they ran through their mill was much lower than apparently many people in the market expected. However, there's a great explanation for this, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let me back up. During 2020, this company basically built the mine or significantly rehabilitated this mine and had just done their first gold pour. I think it was right around Christmas of 2020. So this first quarter was really their first quarter, quote unquote, mining and being in production. Although they have yet to announce commercial production, they're still in their ramp up phase. So remember that they still have not said, "Hey, we've kind of got everything running up to snuff." Basically, they're still in their ramp up phase, and the company did a great job of getting things put together during 2020. Pretty much on budget, and during COVID, everything else, they did a great job. So during the first quarter, here's what happened. And I've done a lot of research on this, all just from publicly available information, but I think I've got a good handle on what's going on and, again, why this might represent an outstanding value at this point. So during the first quarter, they started running the mill, and they were really focused on getting the mill up and running. So two things occurred that really three things occurred, or maybe more, that contributed to this low grade gold that they produced during the first quarter. The first thing is they were limited in terms of where they could actually dig ore from within the mine. They only had one real ramp going, two stopes, I believe the word is. So really only kind of two spots where they could get ore from. And the CEO, in a recent interview on April 26th on I believe it's the KE report, he even said that those first two stopes were from kind of more of a low grade area of the mine. So they were mining these two stopes. They didn't have much flexibility. And again, this is early days for them. They experienced what was called overbreak. So they're in some lower grade material, and on top of that, I don't know. I guess they were blasting too much, put too much dynamite in the hole, or whatever caused it. But as a result of this overbreak, they had a lot of overburden that was mixed in with the good ore, so that decreased the grade level as it went through the mill. Um, uh, it's easy to understand. And again, they were more focused on getting the mill up and running. So they had this limited access to ore. It was lower grade ore, and they were unfortunately dealing with some overbreak. So the other thing they had to do just to be able to get the test the mill was they had to kind of run some surplus material, some surplus ore that they had sitting on the side that they knew was lower grade, but they just wanted to get through the mill to make sure that the mill was up and running. And that's a positive because the mill did prove to be very effective during the quarter. They got it up and running, which is a big accomplishment. And actually, on several days, they were, I think it was the nameplate, quote unquote, on it's about 800 tons per day, and they got it up to 900. So that's really positive. But to do that, again, they were working with limited ore from the mine and then also running some cruddy material that they had, just again to make sure that this mill was running. The recovery rates were very good at the mill, so that's super positive. And on top of that, um, I heard the CEO in this most recent interview say that generally the ore is pretty simple to process. So that's all great. You know, basically the problem that they had was the material that they had to work with, which I'm going to repeat this for the third time, was because they had very limited access to areas where they could mine. They're still in early days learning curve basically, and they were blasting too much rock, so they had some overburden that was mixed in with the good ore. And then they did hit a dike. I don't know what that means, but I mean at the non-mineralized dike, which they anticipate that occurring. Um, Although, again, to put words into the CEO's mouth, it was in a written article in the Mining Journal. I heard him say that it was kind of unlucky, quote unquote, that they hit one so early. So, again, to repeat for the fourth time, the real problem with the first quarter at Pure Gold was had nothing to do with the mill. The mill did awesome. That was actually like super positive that it's doing so well. The problem revolved around the material that they would be able to put into the mill. So, going forward, what clues do we have about what's going on so that they'll be able to get better quality material into that mill at that higher throughput and at a higher grade? We got some great clues. Okay, number one, we know that they now have an additional ramp going down, which has kind of expanded their stope face areas where they can mine from 2 to what I heard was 12. And also that as they now are, have access to more parts of the mine, they're getting into the quote unquote heart of the resource as compared to Q1 when they were in some lower grade sections of the mine. Okay, so now they have access to much more ore, different areas where they can mine, and these areas they have access to are higher grade. And this is the third positive, and don't worry, I'll repeat this for you. The third positive is that they've moved along this mining learning curve with this ore. And what I read was, during the first quarter, just one comparison, they were having like 36-39% overbreak, and that now that number, the most recent hole or whatever, however they measure this, had gone down to 11%. So again, there's a 3 ding dong, wingy dong dong, ding dong positive going on here with this company. When you compare the ore, because that was the problem, the grade of the ore in the second quarter with the grade of the ore in the first quarter. Okay, number one positive is they have, because of this new ramp, access to multiple different areas within the heart of the resource. Okay, which is, I think, code word for higher grade, as opposed to the first quarter where they were in lower grade areas. And they've rectified this overbreak situation, or they're in the process of rectifying the overbreak situation. So I'm excited to see what happens in the second quarter. I think the market really overreacted to this kind of first quarter. Oh, they're low grade. It's, the grade's nowhere near what it was supposed to be. Well, yeah, but that's easily explainable because they were still at an early ramp up of their mine and they couldn't get to the high grade ore, number one. And they had limited access. Okay. And they're trying to prove this new mill, which they did. That was a huge success. But to do that, they had to use this lower grade ore they were mining, and they were overbreaking it. And then they had to mix in a bunch of dust or dirt stockpile. I forget the word they use up on just to make sure, just to prove out the efficiency and effectiveness of the new mill, which they did. So I don't know. I think the market might be a little off on this one. I am real excited to see what happens. have some of my retirement funds invested in this company at a price a little over $1 US. And, tons of information about them online. Check it out. But, great management. They really check a lot of the boxes. And, outside of this, this situation that occurred, maybe even for me, because that's when I really bought back in, may have created a great opportunity for investors to get into the Pure Gold Red Lake story. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.